where brevity is paramount.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivas, with me is John Denton.
Hello.
And if you've not listened before, basically this is how the podcast works. Each week John and I make a top 10 list separately of the 10 games we've been playing the most, and then we count them down in turn from the games we've been playing the least right up to our number ones, which are the games that we've been spending the most time with. Although anything can be on the list, we are working games journalists, so we're lucky enough to write about games for a living, and thus a lot of the stuff is going to be current and upcoming. So that's what it is. Let's go. John, number 10.
Right, my number 10 this week is a game called MotoHeroz, or MotoHeroz, if you were to speak it phonetically.
That's a Wii game,
It's
right?
an iPhone app.
Oh.
It's by Red Links, the guys that do Trials. So it's kind of like a Trials-y platformer on the iPhone. And I thought, yeah, that sounds pretty wicked. You know, those guys, they seem to know what they're doing. Not so sure though once I started playing. It's pretty frustrating. It feels like Trials. You're balancing and, you know, Trials-y. Wheels, ledges,
But it's
hills.
all cartoony, right?
It's kind of cartoony, yeah. But it has problems in that you pick up little items, but you're not quite too sure how to use them, and it's bloody frustrating. And whereas Trials is frustrating, but you wanted to continue, this just made me want to turn it off. There's probably a decent game in there, but it needs maybe a couple of updates to sort it out. But I don't know if I've got time.
Is it a straight up?
Chocolate bar.
Is it a new game, or is it a port? Because there was a Wii
I think
game.
it was on. I'm pretty sure it was on WiiWare, but
WiiWare, yeah.
I mean, WiiWare is like just going to the fucking back streets of nowhere. Who's going to go on WiiWare?
Yeah, good point. It got like 6s when it came out on the Wii. I remember that.
Yeah, it's no Trials. I didn't know it existed until I did a bit of reading after I bought it. But that's the thing with iPhone games. You'll take a risk on 70p sometimes.
Especially
right.
if it's made by the Trials guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. My number 10 is I Am Alive on the 360.
Okay.
I've literally just done the trial, and really interesting. I'm definitely going to persevere with it later on when I've got a bit more time. But yeah, really interesting game. The one thing that really pissed me off, though, and the more I thought about it, the less it pissed me off, but how do they make the fact that there's a finite number of checkpoint continues? How do they make that work? I know it's to make you more oppressed by the world, but that kind of thing would piss me off.
To be honest, I finished the game and it's later in my list, so I'll go into a bit more detail later, but that didn't actually affect me once.
Oh, wow.
At the beginning, when I was still learning the systems, but it never became a problem for the rest of it. I didn't run out of retries.
Oh, okay. Everyone says it looks like The Road, but have you seen that Hughes Brothers movie with Denzel Washington in it?
Book of Eli.
That's right.
Yeah.
It looks the world, the way it sort of looked, the washed out look, it looks exactly like that, more so than The Road.
I agree.
thought.
Yeah, definitely. And it's more pulpy, like that film was
Yeah.
The Road, especially the book is, really, really stark.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, I'll bang on about I Am Alive a little bit later. But it's a good trial, isn't it? A good length trial. You get to see all the systems in the game.
Yeah. It's I like it's clearly an adult game. It's not been made with anyone else in mind. It's like there's none of it has been geared towards a younger audience. I mean, it's not explicit, but there's something refreshing about it. But yeah, I'm definitely going to persevere, although I fear it may piss me off.
Well, yeah, it might do. But as I say, yeah, hold tight on buying it just yet.
Old site, all right.
Hold tight. Right, my number 9 is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. That's what it's called, isn't it? Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker? Metal Gear Peace Walker?
The PSP port, yeah.
The PSP port. Started off threatening to be like Metal Gear 3, which is one of my favourite games of all time. We talked about it plenty on the podcast before. But after like a 40-minute animated cutscene, 2D animated, I forgot. I just think that me and Metal Gear is just... we're from different times, and that's like a time in my life where I could stomach that sort of stuff, and I just don't know if I can anymore. I couldn't hack Metal Gear 4, and yeah, once I got past that and tried to listen to what the hell they were talking about, then the level design was just really shabby. It felt like a PSP game, and I could see how I'd be forgiving of that on the old PSP, but on a PS3, I was just like, you know what, I just don't have got time in my life to get stuck into this. I'm wanting it to be Metal Gear 3, my experience playing Metal Gear 3 5 years ago, and it's just not going to be that. So probably best that I spend my time elsewhere. But I'm glad I've stuck it on and had a look.
I really like Peace Walker, but I played it on the PSP first, so coming back to it, I was like, this is still good, it works on console. I might have been a bit too forgiving, but I still think it's a really solid game underneath.
I'm sure it is. It's more a question of time management with me. So, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I played it, and I know that I probably won't have time to persevere with a game that's not going to be as good as Metal Gear 3.
Yeah, fair play. Okay, my number 9, Draw Something on the iPhone. Not a lot to say. Everyone's playing it. It's nice to have a game that everyone's playing, and what can you say? It's fun.
It's kind of helped me reconnect with some people I haven't spoken to in a long time in a weird sort of way, and I'm still never going to speak to them. I don't think. Some old people from uni.
Yeah.
But it's starting to feel a little bit like homework for me. I think I've started too many games. Same thing happened with Words with Friends back in the day. So every time I log in, I've got 6 drawings to get through, and I've started doing some really shit drawings, really shabby drawings. I'm like, you just fucking get it. If you don't get it, I don't care. So yeah, I can't see me playing it for much longer. It's in my list. It's number 5 in my list. But like I say, it's probably somewhere in everyone's list in their magical podcast that they're not doing. But yeah, everyone's playing it, aren't they?
Yeah, that's why I like it. I mean, it's quite nice to have something where you don't feel the pressure to achieve anything, and it's just a bit of fun. But yeah, there's not a lot you can say about it. Everyone's playing it, and it's fun.
Have you played it on the iPad?
No, I presume it's a shitload better.
Yeah, it is. It's just infinitely better purely because it's bigger. But you can't be bothered by it the whole time like you can on the phone. So
yeah,
swings and roundabouts,
Genuine.
which I've drawn both of.
Nice.
My number 8 is WipEout 2048, which I talked about last couple of weeks. Had a slight change of heart. I was really into it. It was my number 1 last week. As I've progressed, the game has just got a little bit too fast for its own good, and it started to undo itself a little bit. Couple that with the fact that the tracks are really samey, even as you unlock. I can't really distinguish one from another, which is making it hard to learn them. They all look exactly the same. I know it's supposed to be set in some future New York that's been kind of dug out to do these tracks, but I'm sure the old games had more variety in how they looked. It's still very, very well made and enjoyable, but I'm crashing into the sides too much now, and I'll probably persevere and try and smash through the whole game and get the basic passes on everything, but my whole plan of getting golds and everything's kind of gone out the window now. I think I need something new for my Vita.
Luminez, job done.
It's just so hard to justify 30 quid on a.
It's not though. What you get, what you pay for.
But I know that that's right. But when I'm in the shop or on the PSN store and I'm thinking about shelling that out, there's something stopping me. I think it's because I played so much Luminez in my life, but I still know you're right. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to get it one day. Well, I'm having a weird mental block with it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, Wipeout's, like I said, I find it very difficult to get excited about it, despite the fact that it's exceptionally well made and it is very good. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that much point of difference from the other Wipeout games, which was a bit of a problem. Okay, my number 8 is Journey on the PS3.
Fantastic.
I don't really have a lot to say about it, except, yeah, it's a remarkable video game, and if you have a PlayStation 3, get it. That's it.
Have you done the whole thing?
I did it in one sitting. I'd read enough to know that it was something to do in one go, and I'm glad I did. That is the way to do it.
Yeah, I think the word I've written here is, and it's the word that basically came to me as I got to the end of it, is perfect, really. It's a perfect piece of, I mean, art's an annoying word to use, but whatever it is that you choose to call it semantically, I think it's flawless. For 90 minutes, that's up there with some of the best animated films I've ever seen, some of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. I just thought it was utterly spellbinding. The best game they've done, I think, by some distance. Did you have anyone dive into your game?
Yes, and see, the thing about Journey is that the only time I've ever seen or heard anything about it was at E3 when I watched someone over someone's shoulder playing it for about a minute, and that's it. So it's kind of a spoiler, isn't it? Or is it just me that didn't know that?
No, that they've talked about that since day one.
Oh, well, okay, no, because at first I was like, what is this? Is this like a shadow of something I did, or is it like kind of Dark Souls where
so you didn't even know that was in the game? That's fantastic.
No, because and then as you started sort of doing these little things to help each other and communicate, I was just like, this is just so completely... just remarkable. I mean, I find it hard to describe adequately, so I kind of I've told people to go out and buy it, and they're like, why? And I find it hard to be articulate about it. It's just remarkable.
It's one of those games that you could be in danger of getting really wanky over.
That's I don't want to do that because...
I've done the same thing as you. I've just kind of implored people to play it if they've got the opportunity, if they've got the tech. Said, don't read anything, don't watch the trailers, just play it. You won't regret it. And what I hope is that it becomes influential, because some of the stuff that it does, beyond just how splendid it is, just stuff in how it teaches you its systems. Not that it has many systems, but it's like games used to do this more, instead of just holding your hand the whole time and flashing up huge things on screen. This is how you do this is how you do this for the whole game. It just subtly introduces you to the systems and then just lets you play with them and experiment. And I just want gaming to get back to that a little bit, because it just really reminded me of what the medium's capable of.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. I know there's friends of mine that I'd recommend it to and they just wouldn't get it. So whilst people are talking about it being sort of revolutionary and it's perfect and all this stuff, I wouldn't call it perfect just because, well, that's completely unfair. I'm being a dick. But I know that there's a lot of people that won't get it. But to find out whether or not you will get it is worth £10 of anyone's money.
Yeah, and weirdly, just one last thing on Journey. Weirdly, I think that I know people who don't play games at all, really, who would really love it. Yeah,
me too.
But some of my gamer mates, kind of the COD crew, maybe wouldn't like it.
Yeah, but it's one of those games where you're loath to describe it as a video game just because you know how people who have no interest. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people who don't game could be completely seduced by that, big time.
Yeah, I think so. Awesome. Right, my number 7 is Gridrunner on iOS, the old Jeff Minter shooter. Oh, yeah. After I tweeted that if a better game than Journey comes out this year, I can't wait to play it, bloke I know tweeted me straight back and just read Gridrunner. I think he was sort of taking the piss, but I checked it out on the App Store and it's 69p, and I was like, all right, well, let's see what you're made of. And it's just a super old school grid-based 2D shooter with 8-bit graphics and that kind of Jeff Minter trippy, weird Englishness about it. But the thing is, it's just immaculately designed. I think it's about 10 years old now. I don't know if they've done much to the iOS version. I have to confess that I'm not hugely knowledgeable on the game. But just little donuts fall out of the enemies. You collect them, you get more powerful. When you die, it goes, thank you, which I like. Just really good. The only problem being is that my fat thumb covers up my little ship too much, which will always be a problem with any game like that on the iPhone. So I've got quite big thumbs, but what can you do?
Yeah, you can't do a lot about that. Yeah, indeed. That sounds interesting. I've always liked Jeff Minter's games, especially, I mean, what was the most recent one that he did on the Xbox? It was a port of
Space Giraffe.
Yeah, I thought that was, I got sucked into that for a bit. So I might check that out. Is there a trial?
No, but it's like I said, it's about the same price as a Caramac in the modern market. So
aren't they still like 30p?
No. I paid 65p for a Caramac the other day. We're in danger of doing what we said we'd never do, though. So.
Okay, all right, yeah, good point. Okay, my number 7 is Alan Wake's American Nightmare. The final third.
Go back to it then.
Oh yeah, I finished it the other night. The final third is absolutely superb.
Yes.
I was enjoying it and it was fun and I was really, really liking it and whatnot. But when I was playing it, I played through it just after I'd played the trial for I Am Alive, and I was like, because you feel so oppressed in that game by the world, and like I was running through this cave at night and I was like, I should be really, really worried about shit going bad, and I wasn't, and it's because he's got too many tools at his disposal. But in the final third, they fucking ramp up. I mean, I was sitting on the edge of my seat, like heart beating out of my chest, proper tense moments. And the way they use little sort of horror movie techniques, like when you really need health and you run towards the light, and then all the bulbs shatter as you reach them.
Yes.
Little things like that. And the the way they make, the conceit that allows them to build the game 3 times essentially is really neat. It works. I'm really far more impressed than I was.
There's some great little set piecey bits towards the end with licensed music as well, aren't there?
Yeah, those bits really work. Yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say they managed to avoid going down the really obvious route and doing a final boss fight, which I was chuffed about because it just didn't need it, and I was glad it wasn't there.
Yeah, but 9 out of 10, I'd say I was that impressed.
Yeah, this week I would definitely write the piece about both I Am Alive and Mr. Wake, and a little bit on Journey. All ties into each other. I'm kind of seeing it as like the rebirth of the middle class game. That single A, double A game that used to do well but has since died.
Yeah. In
this sort of post COD world. But yes,
fair play. Yeah, very, very good. I still think Alan Wake's a dick, but hey.
Yeah, but I like that about him.
But I don't understand. But he needs help from so many people. Like he goes to people asking for help. If Alan Wake turned up on my doorstep and asked me for help, I'd be like, "Take your fucking check shirt and your designer stubble and fucking op it, you rude bastard."
I'll turn the lights on as well. Quick smart.
Yeah.
Right. My number 6 is Quarrel. Weirdly, we talked about it briefly last week. I was asked to review it for a magazine. I know it's been out a while, but so
was it on 360 or on the iPhone?
360.
Okay.
On 360. It's fantastic. The problems being nothing to do with the game itself. Obviously, the fact that people online can cheat, but it deserves classic status. It's just so well made and so well thought out and so well formed. And I had no idea that it was going to be so full of character and make me laugh as well as I was playing it with the funny little noises, the little cheers. I mean, I could spend 5 minutes explaining the mechanics, but the best thing to do is just to check it out and play the tutorial, I think, because it explains what could be quite a complicated game very, very well. But basically, it's sort of Scrabble meets Risk, but in a really cheery way, but sort of quite violent in a funny way as well. I was so impressed with it. I'm madly in love with it for about 5 minutes, and I was playing it with a few friends, but as soon as it really put me off, but that's not the game's fault at all. It is a really, really superb game, no doubt about it. If there was some way of playing that you knew that people were just going to be cool, then I'd play a lot of it, but people online aren't cool.
That's very true.
Unless they're playing Journey, it seems.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I was just like, there was no moment. There were so many opportunities to be a little bit of a dick, and I didn't see that. I mean, I've only played it once, but you expect that when you play online, and that's another brilliant thing about it.
That game will be talked about for a long time, I think, and rightly so.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Okay, my number 6 is Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City.
Blimey, that's my number 1. Should we get into it?
Let's just get it out of the way.
Get into it.
People who play video games love to speculate on how much cynicism went into the creation of every game. But I would honestly put money on the fact that this is the culmination of a business meeting 2 years ago in which a bunch of suits sat in a room and said, how are we going to bleed a bit more money out of this Resident Evil thing then? I'd put money on that because it's crap. It's a cynical piece of crap that doesn't even work.
My first lines in my notes are horrid, nasty shit.
But you gave it a 5.
A 4.
Oh, okay, well, that's fine.
Because even though it's nasty and shit, occasionally I had to get my real reviewer's head on, and there were sort of 5 minutes here and there that I was like, this is fine. I'm shooting zombies and the mechanics are solid enough. So even though I thought it was a vile, exactly like you said, only exists to make money, and you can always say video games are a business and these companies are only in it to make money. There's grey areas, man. You can make art and then want that art to make money in whatever you're doing. It doesn't just have to be purely business. And that's been films and books have been made like that forever. So I hate that argument. This, however, is just purely cynical, nasty crap
that doesn't work.
Yeah,
I played it with a mate who plays anything and loves achievements so much that he will complete anything, and he threw in the towel. It's just the funny thing about it is that it's just the whole way through I was playing it, I was like, this is a game made by a bunch of people who categorically don't know what the fuck they're doing. The amount of aside from the bugs, which, it didn't feel like it was play tested at all. It was, first of all, it was a shooter that didn't really want you to shoot them any. Did you shoot anybody, sorry. Did you have problems finding ammunition?
Yeah, that drove me mad. You're always running out of ammo, which I know is an old Resident Evil trick, but this isn't a Resident Evil game. It has Resident Evil people in it, but
that's to me that's the game, is running around looking for ammunition.
Diving when you find some, diving at it, and because there's the same button as pick it up.
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff drives me mad. But then I would shoot a few zombies, and I'm like, oh, okay, well that was all right. His arm fell off, or I'd go around a corner and there'd be like a little piano playing Moonlight Sonata like Resident Evil 1. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened in a game that I played in my life. But then, yeah, just fuck you. And then, did you try any of it on your own?
No, I tried, but not a substantial amount. I did like 5 minutes, so I didn't really get a handle on how it worked.
Oh, the AI, your mates, they can't aim. They literally can't heal you, so if you go down, that is game over, making it fucking impossible. And oh man, they're just stupid. It's making me retch just thinking about how annoying they are.
Shooting zombies was okay, but shooting anybody else, and there's loads of different enemies in the game. They're all bullet sponges, so they take like 15 headshots. There's nothing fun about that. The guns feel sort of weightless and shit.
They kill the mystique of Resident Evil's best enemies as well. Lickers ruined, hunters ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? And there's dynamics in it that. Did you ever get infected?
Yes.
What's the point?
It's the same as Left 4 Dead's when the fatty explodes on you in Left 4 Dead, isn't it? That I guess that's the same mechanic. They've just tried to borrow it. But what a shame that the series that I've said this in my review, the series that basically gave birth to the video game zombie as we know it, feels it needs to rob from Left 4 Dead that badly. This is Resident Evil. This is one of the gaming's greats. And yeah, now it's attached to this. Not that it's an unblemished series, but still, it's just.
I was like, it's crap. There's a couple of nice little nods towards like past Resident Evil games. If you're a really hardcore fan, you're going to notice a lot of nods, but it's like putting a bit of icing sugar on a shit. Eat it if you want. It'll be a little bit sweeter, but I would fucking swerve it in the first place.
We're going to hear that.
Yeah, it is just crap. I'm surprised that it's been getting even lukewarm reviews seem too much. It's just rubbish.
And cynical is the perfect word.
And
really.
Buggy as fuck. The amount of ridiculous bugs, I don't understand how anyone could have noticed that. Off the charts. Rubbish.
Dialogue's good though.
It's depressing. I haven't played a game like a big budget sort of big studio console game that bad in quite some time.
No, I haven't.
There was one more thing. Yeah, the infected dynamic. If you did you played it on co-op, right?
Yes.
Did one of you get infected?
Yeah, I got infected.
Okay, so one of your AI teammates will stand next to you, waiting for you to turn into a zombie. They don't take their eyes off you. As soon as you turn into a zombie, they do the melee animation, which takes several seconds and you can't get out of, so you're standing there getting beaten. You die, your non-AI mate will revive you, and you've got half of your health back and all your ammo and grenades. And considering you can't find ammo and grenades, we started looking to get infected. And even if you all got infected, or one of your mates got infected and killed the other three, what's the point? What do? Go back to the stage before? You have to redo it all? It's just an absolute explosion of shit ideas. Fucking crap.
Yes. Yeah, horrid. Right, my number 5 is Draw Something, which we banged on about enough already.
True that. Okay. Yeah, fun game. But isn't it?
Yeah. I doubt I'll be playing it much longer.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point. That's the funny thing. iOS games tend to grip me for like a short period of time, and then I leave them be. And this has got a short. My love affair with it is kind of on the way in already. But yeah, my number 5 is Asura's Wrath, which
he's still stuck with it. Excellent.
I've finally finished it the other day. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm really glad. Yeah.
I love it for the same reasons I love Journey, just because the thing about Jenny, another thing about Jenny is that it kind of felt like a lot of some first-party Sony games, definitely not all of them, but some of them feel like someone was really straining to let them do what they wanted to do. In the same way that a lot of Nintendo games, you kind of feel like they let their imaginations run riot. Asura's Wrath is just like, I can totally see why you said you've just got to play Asura's Wrath, because you just do have to play it. I kept trying to formulate ways of describing it, but it's just like an unruly child that does whatever the fuck it wants. And it doesn't have, I just love the way that you never knew where it was going. It would be this, it'd be that, it'd be this, and there'd be a cutscene of a boss pontificating about nonsense, and there'd be a button in the thing in the corner saying "shut him up." Press a button, jump straight.
Yeah.
It did whatever the fuck it wanted, and it was really, really fucking special, really.
Yeah, I'm really, really glad that you thought that, because you could really see how someone could just pick that game apart if they wanted to.
Yeah.
If they wanted to really dive into the mechanics, but I love it. I've kept it around. I'm going to go through it again when it's kind of a little less fresh in my mind. By the end, were you kind of pumping your fist and be like, yeah, like I was?
Inside, I mean, not about a bit. It takes a lot.
I don't mean literally.
Yeah. No, I mean, but I was. You do get swept up in it, and the story is mentally as it is actually sort of the foundations of it are very simple.
Yes.
He's just trying to get his daughter back.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. I'm definitely going to keep hold of it again and go through it again, because it was just like games like that. It's going to be. I reckon we're going to go through a period now where games with that size budget are not going to be allowed to be that off the wall. So
yeah, I think so. Unless they can appear in a downloadable space.
But that's different. I mean, because this is clearly a big budget games. I mean, the hand drawn sort of comic sweep over bits that sort of were between each chapter, they look so good.
Yeah.
And it was a good looking game anyway. But yeah, on this scale, I think games like this, their days are numbered, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. Did you enjoy the bit where you're sitting in the pool drinking sake with the Hocus
I was
music?
waiting for that. Yeah, that was awesome. But I mean, amongst many awesome moments, check it out.
So
really.
many. Yeah. Like I said it before, and you said it, you got to play it. You just got to play it, even if you find it for £1.
Oh yeah.
Just play it.
Especially if you find it for £1.
Well,
Send
yeah,
it to
exactly.
me, I'll buy it off.
Yeah. I mean, even if you wait for it to be £1. Anyway, no point talking about that. Number 4. Like I said, it was going to be later on my list. I'm Alive. Just wanted to go into a little bit just because I've finished it. I really admire the ambition of I Am Alive, but it severely runs out of ideas towards the end. You kind of see everything the game has to offer in the trial. And while it does elaborate on some of those ideas, it kind of loses its way in its storytelling. And by the end, it kind of forgets what it was in the first place and kind of conforms to some things that it never was. Some kind of more standard video game tropes, which is a bit of a shame. But it doesn't really outstay its welcome. I still think they did a fantastic job with dialogue. It's not, like Oscar-worthy scripting or anything like that, but it is quite subtle. It's not very explicit. There's a bit later on where a woman gets captured, and they don't need to say what happened to her. They use language in a kind of skillful way, which would be completely normal in quality television or cinema, but is rare in games, and I was quite impressed by that. I think ultimately it just came down to the fact that it was such a troubled development really started to show through towards the end of the game. But I still implore people to play it if you're interested in what games can do when they're not just all about shooting people in the face and getting XP.
Yeah. I think they made it look... it looks even less like a downloadable game than American Nightmare did. When I looked into the horizon, when you look into the distance and they use sort of dust and haziness to, but it's an effect, but it's to mask obviously the fact that they don't have the budget to sort of design all that shit. But that was really effective. I think a lot of moments, even in that trial I did, was just like spectacularly good looking in parts.
Yes, I completely agree. Yeah, really coherent as well.
Yeah.
And there are parts later where they change the lighting and the and stuff at night as well, which it's all really good.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find time to play it at some point, but I've got a few things to check off my list. But yeah, interesting enough to go back to, I reckon.
Yeah, it's not one of those games that's going to date either, really, unless you leave it for too long. But because it's kind of has that unique look and it plays in its kind of esoteric sort of way. I hope people do check it out, because a lot of people have labelled it a massive failure, and well, then they go back to playing the same old shit that everybody plays all the time, and then complain that there's no originality. So
standard.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 4 is SSX.
Still on it.
Still, I'm going to be on it for a little while yet. Not a lot to say. It's fantastic. I love it to pieces. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm going to be on it for a while. It's I adore it. I've already said many times. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The only new thing that's happened is that I've realised that part of the appeal, a small part of the appeal of the online side, is that they've managed to replicate some of the thrill of like high stakes gambling. Because when I logged into RideNet for the first time in a few days, and it showed the amount of points that I'd accrued when I'd been away from like tournaments that had finished, I dropped my pad so I could rub my hands together, like, give me those fucking points. I was just like, give me. And I realised, shit, that's kind of like a guy watching, like, you know, his horses come in or whatever. But it's a pure goddamn joy. Buy it. Done.
Yeah, I'm going to need to get back into it. I haven't had time, but it's going to happen.
You've got to make time for SSX, boy.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen. I think it will happen next week, in fact.
Genuinely.
I'm excited. I'm going to take your points, boy.
No, you won't.
No, I probably won't. Right, my number 3 is Mass Effect 3. Again, through work and the fact that I don't want to rush it, I'm still not that far in. I've made some solid progress. To be honest, all this fucking boring talk on the internet about the ending is it's kind of taking the shine off the game a little bit, because I'm like, it's just making me not like the game purely because of the people that play it, and it's not the game's fault. The fact that they caved is a bit disappointing, but as you said last week, they've got a captive audience for DLC. Why the hell wouldn't they? You've got this many people basically saying we'll pay for a new ending.
But that's set a shithouse precedent that I'm just like, people are going to start going, I mean, we're not going to hear the end of this now.
No.
That's why I was like, they shouldn't have done it, but they have.
They bottled it. But this is also the people that are churning out all these different pre-order bonuses, blah, 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 blah. So it's no real surprise that that's happened.
Sure.
But, I mean, I am enthralled by it, and I'm kind of got over the whole Dave Gorman situation. He's looking less and less like Dave Gorman now for some reason, I think, since I put a hat on him. But it's a little bit sketchy, isn't it, at times? It's a little bit glitchy, much more so than Mass Effect 2 sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely.
You'll go through a door and then like reappear, or halfway through a conversation, their face will just jerk across the screen slightly, which it takes me out of the world a little bit.
That is off-putting. I found that a couple of times in 3 where, you know, you just get jerky animations, or the lip sync would go out, or something I noticed is just they kind of just look like void, completely like zombies, dead-eyed, like white eyes, just mouths talking while the face just stood there. There was more stuff like that this time, definitely.
And I think one problem I've always had with Mass Effect since the first one is everywhere you go kind of feels like a level rather than a place to me. And I mean, you shouldn't really compare it to Skyrim because they are very, very different. But if you're talking about grand RPGs, everywhere in Skyrim feels like a place that ties in with everywhere else. Yeah. And whereas in Mass Effect, you always feel like you're just going somewhere. And I guess it's, partly because they have to design levels with low walls just for the combat gameplay. It's not a massive criticism. It's just something that it will never be my favourite ever series because of stuff like that. But I'm still completely captivated and enthralled, and I don't want to come across as being negative or bitchy, because I'm going to play the hell out of it. I'm probably going to do almost all the side missions, and we'll be completely enthralled along the way and captivated. As I said, captivated and enthralled. Yeah,
I'm a massive fan. The only criticism I'll level at Mass Effect 3, I don't know if I mentioned this before. Did you enjoy that mining mini game in 2, where you scrolled through those planets and picked out all the different elements and stuff?
No.
You don't miss it?
No.
I reckon I spent as much time doing that on number 2 than I did playing any other part of the game. I don't know why I'm some sort of fucking weirdo, but that was I enjoyed that, and the fact it wasn't here and they replaced it with the war elements or whatever, I was like, I say replaced it with the war elements, but they scrapped it and put something completely different in. But man, I miss mining those planets. What fun!
I didn't. Yeah, I just found it annoying.
Most people do.
I think that's why my crew died at the end of 2.
Yeah,
so I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, so the second time I played it, I'd mined every planet for everything it was worth before I even got started. So yeah, kicked some shit.
But yeah, mining, It's not much of a criticism, is it, really?
Not really,
I'm not getting that excellent. I'm hoping I can kind of banish all that noise. Hopefully these people will get annoyed about something else next week. Maybe Diablo 3 will have, like, a door that you can't unlock without...
They've already started doctoring screenshots and sending them back to Blizzard, saying, no, it's supposed to look like this. You can find it online, saying this should be more colourful, these should look like this. It's incredible.
What, on Diablo?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Incredible.
Is it just kids? I mean, I can kind of justify it when if they're 15-year-old kids who are a bit socially awkward and this is the most important thing in their life at that time. You go, all right, well, just let them have their thing. I was a bit weird when I was that age too. But so you find out it's like a 32-year-old bloke who's got a family, and then you just worry about the state of the Western world.
I don't know why video games are exempt. If someone told, in any other medium, this you wouldn't even listen to it. You wouldn't even hear it. There's no one would listen to this. It's fucking stupid madness. But for some reason, games or it's all right to do that. I don't know.
But Christopher Nolan's going to change the ending to Inception. So.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. It's going to have Leonardo just walking hand in hand with Tom Hardy through the street.
That's a good ending.
And then off into the sunset.
Okay.
And then they both say it's not a dream.
Definitely not a dream. All those theories you've got, put them to bed. La-di-da, we're happy, we're gay.
And then they high five and it freezes.
Oh yeah, that's great. I'll think of the perfect song to go along to fade in as that happens.
Nice.
Jesus, what are we talking about? Where am I? Is that your number?
I think that was my number 3.
Okay, my number 3 is Battlefield 3. Spoken about it at length. One of my favourite games of all time. The only thing that's happened recently is that one of my friends and his little set of friends and his friends, we used to all play together. They haven't been on for about a week, and I sent him a message saying, get on batters. And he sent me a message back saying, no, we're not playing anymore. I asked why, and he said, because it's not fun enough and it's too real. And I was like, well, if it's not fun enough, you're on crack. But when he said it's too real, I was like, I didn't ask him to elaborate. He may mean something completely different, but it took me back to when I was playing Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare, halfway through the AC-130 mission, that's now standard practice in all military shooters, where I put the pad down and I was like, I'm not playing any more of this. I had a mate in Afghanistan at the time, which didn't help, but I was like, I don't want this much realism in my shooters. When people used to ask me to play Call of Duty, I'm like, space shooters only. I want to play with Space Marines, Halo or nothing. And it's just weird how desensitized I am. But that's with regards to the game. That's it.
So it wasn't our mutual ex-soldier friend who said that though about Battlefield.
No, it was another mutual friend of ours. But I don't know what he meant. He could have meant something completely different. But it's so weird that
maybe he just meant like R. Kelly. It's too real.
No, he could have meant, and you can probably guess who I'm talking about because he's a bit of a weird person, as we were saying earlier on today. But yeah, it just took me back. I remember how militantly against military shooters, and now every other publisher's like, we've gone to the top soldiers. They're advising us. We've got guys in the field. Blah blah blah. It's the ultimate realism. I'm completely desensitized. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but yeah. It's
probably not a good thing, is it?
It's really? Probably not. We just lap up. There's been too many good ones. That's the problem.
Yeah, still XP though. So.
Oh yeah.
Got to get that XP.
Got to level up, boy.
Oh yeah, boy. My number 2 is Journey, which I played through in one sitting, as we said before. Was completely spellbound by it, as I said before. Yeah. I can't wait to play it again. I'm going to give it a little time, and I hope to spread the good word of Journey and that game company's fantastic work.
Well, one thing that I didn't get, I never found the right button to get his gun out. What was that?
Oh, you got to click the right stick.
Oh, right, okay. So you can gun down those irritating little fucking floaty... Yeah, okay, all right, I'm going to go through it again.
You can perforate all the scarves.
Oh, so like, people fall to their deaths and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Already it's a better game, see?
And you can use the 6-axis to turn the gun on yourself if you get fed up.
That's awesome. Okay, my number 2 is Twisted Metal.
Oh right,
an extremely good game, underappreciated, meticulously designed. It's the most throwbackiest throwback game of all time. It is like, it may as well have been made after the first Twisted Metal, but I like that. It's got no business having its 18 certificate. It's a game about shooty cars. There's no reason for it to have an 18 certificate, but the stuff on the outside, the cutscenes and this stuff about these murderous people, scumbags, kind of Sin City-esque. It just reminded me that when you write about games, it's so easy to fall into the trap of sort of treating them as like constructions rather than things that have personality and texture, and the way you treat movies or whatever. And although all of that stuff was superfluous in Twisted Metal, it turned the game into something completely different.
Well, that's something that I love about games, and you could go back to Journey again, couldn't you? It'd be so easy to break that down constructively or mechanically.
Exactly. Yeah,
but you lose the point.
Indeed. But aside from that, the gameplay at the beginning of every level I did in the campaign, I felt like smashing a pad in rage because I felt that it was just been badly designed, and it's actually very cleverly designed, and each level is almost like a puzzle because you have to re-strategize each time.
Okay. Have you done much multi?
I've done multi. That's a little bit more frustrating because everybody's apparently amazing already.
They've got all those years of experience, haven't they? Of
probably
Twisted Metal under their belts.
But underrated, really underrated.
Do I get it? Should I invest time?
You'd be surprised. You would be genuinely surprised. There was one level which they layer all this stuff on you. It's around a winding track around over a cavern where you can fall in. There's these checkpoints you have to beat. Everyone's trying to hammer the shit out of you, and it's a race. And I'm just like, this is just a clusterfuck of shit. This doesn't work. But you figure out a plan, you use the right tools for each job, and then you work it out, and it's really exciting like that. It's destined to be underappreciated, but yeah, I would say pick it up.
It's just one of those games that I kind of wish was 15 quid download rather than full price. I don't know, there's something about it that seems, cheap's not the right word, but it I know this is a problem, really. It doesn't feel like it's a big budget game.
It is. That's the thing. It really is. They've wasted. Not waste is the wrong word, but they've spent a lot of money on, not necessarily the in-game stuff, although that slick as can be. It's the stuff around the outskirts that's really. I loved it for that. I loved it for the fact that they, again, like Asura's Wrath, this is the kind of game that I think we're going to see less of, where they're throwing all this money at things that aren't necessarily essential, but they give it just such a wealth of personality that it's worth every penny.
I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued.
I'll post it to you or something. I'll lend it.
All right, mate. Yeah, I wouldn't mind checking it out.
Genuine.
Is that my number one then?
Yeah.
It was Resident Evil because I was reviewing it and therefore had to play the hell out of it. Horrid, nasty shit. I said it before. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
I've played worse games in my career reviewing games, definitely. I can remember some hateful stuff back in the last generation, but Fusion Frenzy as well. Fusion Frenzy 2 on the 360. I think that's the worst game I've ever played.
Oh, yeah.
This is not the worst game I've ever played, but I was taken aback, I think, because, like you said, I haven't played an awful game in ages. Games don't tend to be that awful anymore.
Not with budgets like that, yeah.
Yes. So I was taken aback by how fucking nasty it was, and it was just shooting in corridors, and it could have been any other game. Suddenly some zombies will turn up. Yeah.
It just didn't work. It just didn't work on so many occasions. I was like, I'm convinced it wasn't play tested. Dog shit. Okay, my number one, I'll be brief. FIFA Street. Hammering the absolute hell out of FIFA Street. I really like it. It's going to replace FIFA as the football game I play. It's aimed completely at me. I love football games. I have no time for football, and this is who it's for. It's just more fun. Yeah. I enjoy it so much more than FIFA. Although I think FIFA is a masterpiece, really. This is just so much more fun. I love the fact that they haven't taken the spreadsheety interface. They've made it kind of slick and fast. There's hardly any loading screens as well. FIFA, I associate that with long loading times, and this has none of it.
Straight into it, isn't it?
Oh, it's like bang, yeah, and the world tour's quite slick. You can level up your players, but as far as sort of customization goes, that's it. And they keep it all. It's what I want from a football game, and I absolutely love it. The tricks are easy to do. It's fun as fuck. I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna play some more FIFA Street. As I said before, it's the best possible street football game they could have made, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm absolutely loving it.
Nice. Cool. Well, I think we've almost hit our goal of getting 20 games in 40 minutes, which is what we've promised since day one.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for listening. It's been episode 6 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. Don't forget to check out the website at thefiniteplaylist.com, and you can follow us on Twitter. On there, we're at John Denton, at Chet Roivas, and it's also at Chet and John's, which is the new Twitter for the podcast, and we're on Facebook as well at facebook.com/the Finite Playlist. So that's enough spam in your face. We're going to get the hell out of here. So thank you very much for listening. Peace.
Whappening.
Command, I've rendezvoused with Delta Team.
Understood. Now find Birkin and secure those samples. Failure is not an option.